stop being lazy. Yeah. And I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come here.
Welcome to the Silver Lining Podcast. I'm your host, Sterling Pearl, and I got my whole co-host, Cam. I am Turner. What's going on with you, Cam?
Feels good to be here, baby. Let's talk about these birds.
All right, man. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. We did our review, so we don't really got to go over last week unless we talk about anything in passing or whatever. We got the Seahawks this week, but I've seen it's been a very busy week in the NFL this week on the way. For those who don't know, we actually recorded our episode on Monday. So it was a lot of stuff that happened in between the last game and this game. We saw Devontae Adams go reunite with Aaron Rodgers in New York. We saw Amari Cooper make his next stop right over to who did he go to? Buffalo? Who all has Amari Cooper been with? Amari Cooper was drafted as a Raider, right?
That's
He
correct.
was a Raider, then he was a Cowboy, then a Brown, and now he's a Bill. It's always so funny when a receiver that's consistently good changes the team so much.
And he's unproblematic too. You don't really see any complaints about Amari Cooper. They always say he's a consummate professional. He handles his business. He's a Pro Bowler. He's pretty successful at his job, but he's bouncing from team to team.
Yeah, man, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. It makes sense for Cleveland to do it though, because Cleveland is a damn dumpster fire, man. Matter of fact, everybody, just have a moment of thanks. Remember that we were like this close to having Watson our quarterback.
Oh my God.
We was this close now. We would have ushered Matt out, brought Watson in for Watson to play like this. Now, I would like to hope that Artie Blank wouldn't have gave him a fully guaranteed contract. I would like to think he didn't do that, but because I always think of Cleveland and Detroit as the same team, just different divisions, different conferences, and I just keep thinking about the fact I think about it all the time. I'm on Reddit, so it's pop up on my feed all the time, and I just keep seeing how bad he is, and I'm like, damn, Cleveland was so close to getting out of there. Detroit, they hitched their wagon to the right horse. They traded. Yeah, I think it's fair to say they traded their best quarterback in franchise history. Traded him to LA, then they brought in a new guy who had some success, and they, long story short, they managed to pull themselves out of the pits of the NFL, and they're a Super Bowl contender, and the Browns back in the mediocrity. And I just think about the fact that could have been us, stuffed in the mediocrity until you can find a way to wiggle out from under that contract to build a team around it, which would have probably involved sucking and getting a high draft pick and drafting a rookie and having him play while Deshaun Watson takes up mounds of your cap on a yearly basis. So let's just be thankful for that.
Man, this podcast would be going a whole lot different.
Well, I don't know if we would have got this thing off the ground, man. Like, we might have messed around and had this podcast. We might have messed around. If that would have happened, I don't even know if I would have wanted to talk about the Falcons. Only reason I ended up doing this is because the Falcons, they kind of giving us something to talk about that's positive for once. I'm like, I don't know how these guys been making that content for the last 7 years with the Falcons playing how they've been played. Well, 6 years, because they went to the playoffs in 2017. But what was I on about? Oh, yeah. So I've been seeing a lot of people talking about the Falcons making a trade for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby or Hassan Reddick. I hate to be water on the fire, especially when I've been being so positive for the Falcons lately. But just kill it, y'all. Just kill it. All right, I'm gonna let you know right now that ain't happening.
And please kill all the noise about us trading Penix away for this guy or any of these guys. It ain't happening. Terry did not draft him at 8 for us to trade him away.
It's not even. It's just like, well, yeah, that too. Actually, that's pretty huge. Yeah. And I'm just thinking about that, and I'm like, look, man. One, you'd be trading away a high draft pick to absorb a contract of one of these guys. And Max Crosby isn't on his contract, but I'm recording, maybe. Hey, all right. Anyway, that was Tiffany, everyone. Wow, there just saying hi. But yeah, no, Max Crosby. Now, Max Crosby, honest to God, I wouldn't be mad if it happened now. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there too. I know it sounds like I'm just being negative, but I'm like, it's not logistically. I mean, it's not gonna happen. But I would be like the first one to be jumping up, be like, "There's Max Crosby on the team, might have a pass rush." But honestly, the thing I'm starting to really realize, every time I watch the Falcons and watch how the game goes is they're not necessarily committed to the pass rush. I'm not sure if it matters at all who we push out there on the field to rush the passes because we playing off so much that like we are like begging them. We're not daring them to throw underneath. We begging them to throw underneath. And they do it because all these teams they take what the defense gives them. Honestly, that's one of the things about the landscape of the NFL that's really changed. I remember, it would be commonplace to see a quarterback that's a Pro Bowl level quarterback with like 15 to 20 interceptions a year. But now, a guy got 15 interceptions. They say he turned the ball over a lot. I'm like, well, damn, that's only one a game. But, that's how the league's changed. A lot of ways teams are coached and the way they play, they just take what the defense gives them. We give up a lot, and we facing the passing offense this week that gets the ball out a lot. They get it out in a variety of ways. They like to throw downfield if they can. I think Geno Smith he's got like I think maybe the most completions are top 5 or 10 most completions in the league over 10 yards. So they're throwing the ball a lot. They're throwing it downfield a lot. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that with us, but they do bring 3 receivers in that is a pretty decent receiving core with a pretty decent distributor. So I'm saying all that to say we can go ahead just kind of leave the idea of getting another pass rusher right now, at least one of that level. Aside from the fact that kind of could cause some issues in the locker room when you start talking about how Max Crosby he bowed on that part where he need a new contract. Hassan Reddick holding out, wanting a new contract. So we dealing with that part where we brought in Matthew Judon. He said all the right things and stuff, and then we're gonna trade more assets to bring in somebody else who we'd have to pay. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how that looks and feels for team morale or team chemistry or anything like that. And with Myles Garrett, he already got the contract, so you wouldn't have to worry about anything there. But I just don't see certain teams letting go of these stalwart players. You know what I mean? Because one, it's going to cost a lot. So logistically, you got to absorb a contract and give up a lot of capital for it. And I think teams, it's certain players that if they're a blue chip player, you just hang on to them and hope that they're still good when you turn this thing around.
Hey,
We saw Cleveland already hang on to Joe Thomas for the entirety of his career. Joe, I don't think did Joe Thomas ever play in the playoff game? I don't think Joe ever played in the playoff game. The entirety of his career in Cleveland, he didn't play in the playoff game because they wasn't glad to trade a guy of that caliber.
But you don't really hold that against Joe, though. He's an offensive lineman.
No, you don't hold it against Joe. I'm just saying he's been stuck with a franchise that they sucked the entirety of his career. He would have been a great guy to trade if you're trying to rebuild, but because he was so good, they would rather hang on to him because they're like, well, he's part of the rebuild.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to trade these guys because they like, yeah, when we start turning this thing around, we plan on this guy being part of it. So that's what that is.
Hey, I'll say this. Miles may be expensive, but Raheem does come from LA, and they are a team with the mantra of fuck them picks,
baby. Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm not saying there's no possibility it can happen. But I doubt we do it. I doubt we trade for Miles. It's gonna be too expensive.
I was about to say, actually, now that I think about it, though, we haven't really talked about what it would cost. So, what do you think it takes to get a Myles Garrett?
At least a first rounder.
Oh no, that's in the bag. I was like, I was more on the how many part.
He's under contract right now. I would say if I could do it, maybe a first rounder. Maybe if I can get away with like a first and a fourth, and then a player.
Oh, you ain't getting away with that.
But
The
I'm probably not.
problem,
I probably gotta get like a first,
let me tell
maybe
you,
a second.
if you really want to know something, Deshaun Watson contract is also part of was stopping that trade. They like, man, we need picks to unfuck what we did over here. And them boys ain't about to give up miles for peanuts. Them boys want the great train robbery. Them boys want to rob you blind. They got to make up for the fact that they screwed the franchise.
They do. They do.
Kevin Stefanski about to get fired, and I always want to know which one of them wanted Deshaun. Like, was that an owner move or was that like Stefanski move?
I'll say this: Stefanski is a good coach, and if he gets fired, he will immediately get picked back up. That being said, if he was the reason Deshaun became a Brown, yeah, they gotta kick you out for that. But if he
Almost got
wasn't,
to.
but if he wasn't, if that was more ownership in GM,
I feel like you got to hang out, tough it out with him. You can't saddle a guy with that quarterback, then be mad when he ain't performing.
if he's not Stefanski's guy, he's got to be because Stefanski still is key. He's keep playing him, and I don't understand why.
I ain't gonna lie.
Is he that much better than Jameis?
Bruh, Deshaun Watson playing so bad that his contract makes me individually feel spiteful. I'm like, I know they want to win and they should probably just put Winston out there. But it's a part of me that want to just be like, nah, make his ass go out there. And you better not block good for him either. Like, he need to get punished for this. Man, want to steal? He want to steal some money? But then all you need is for the fake an injury, and then all of a sudden, you know, God, I'm trying not to make this a Browns podcast, but boy, that is like a devastating blow to the franchise. And we was this close. He wanted to come here. That man is from Gainesville, Georgia.
He went to Clemson.
That man is from like 20 to, depending on what part of the city you in, he is 20 to 30 minutes up the road.
He damn near can call Arthur Smith Unc. I mean,
boy.
Blank. He damn near could call him Unc.
Yo, and I'm sure a lot of people already know this by now, but I don't know if you know this, but or who does or doesn't know this. But Falcons legend Warwick Dunn has a charity, Home for the Holidays, where he provides a year's worth of down payments, I think, on a home for single parents. And one of those parents that received a home was Deshaun Watson's family.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got real deep ties to Atlanta.
He was close.
He was close, but then Cleveland swooped in with that big bag of money and saved us from being a bad franchise for the foreseeable future. Little did we know, boy. It's so crazy just how that thing changed. Because you remember how you felt when you thought we was going to get Deshaun? Even despite all the stuff he had around him?
I don't know if he was going through all the sexual allegations at that time.
Oh, yes, he was.
He was?
That was part of why he was getting traded.
You're right. And he still got that bag. It's crazy. He's still selling out of court today with women. And
and I can't let go of the fact that was almost us.
That almost was us, man. We drove Matt Ryan out of town because of this. Hey, at least we were able to make it right and get Matt in the Ring of Honor, Ring of Fire, really show him the love and respect he truly deserves.
You know what? Speaking of which, talking about Falcons legend Matt Ryan and what could have been is a great segue to talk about what we got now. Mr. Kirko Chains. What he said today on that presser?
Walk in the trap and take your trap.
Hey, man. Woo, boy, let me tell you something, man.
And you see the thing he had on too? Kirk is looking more and more Atlanta every day.
I was about to Kirk getting soaked in Atlanta right now. That man, Kirk. You know what I love about him? Kirk is a guy who is always himself. He never, and I've been watching Kirk for his whole career. I actually remember Kirk back at Michigan State. Um, and he one of those guys I follow because it's certain people you kind of follow just because you watch them and you like, man, they're not like the best guy I ever seen, but I like this guy. He's all right. I remember him because he's a little bit older than me. What am I? I'm 33. He's 36, right?
Yeah, he just turned
Yeah,
36.
yeah, yeah. So he's 3 years older than me. So I remember just watching, college football on and seeing Kirk, and Kirk was doing his thing. Um, and I remember him getting drafted and thinking, oh man, now Kirk ain't gonna get a chance to like play. Little did I know how things will shake out. But Kirk kind of always been that kind of guy, and now he in Atlanta, and he basically in the culture, but he not like giving off culture vulture vibes.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and I
saying? Like
love that. You
he
can be
don't seem like
yourself.
he pandering either.
Exactly. He's
You know
not
what I'm saying?
pandering.
I don't feel like he's just like, oh yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Let me act like, you know, well, I ain't gonna say those terms, but I was gonna say I'm gonna leave that out. But he not, trying to act like he black now. You know what I'm saying? Even if he using the term, he's still being Kirk about it. And people just
Exactly.
and so you just love him for it. I'm like, damn, man, the real Kirk is his thing. So yeah, on to this game. So one of the things that I did think about that now, I know everybody wanted the game against the Panthers to be that game that Atlanta had better run away with. And they say, hey, that's what good teams do. Da 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 da. Honestly, I think this game is more the game that people want it to be. This is the game where good teams do what good teams do to me, right? And the reason I say that, Seahawks are 3-3 coming in on a 3-game losing streak. Right now, they are reeling and they looking for anything to get them right. You got a team that's flying cross country. They coming off of a little extra rest from playing on Thursday. They got a sense of urgency because they're on a 3-game losing streak. We need to come in and make sure we ain't the get right game for them. We the team that can go out because when a team go on the 3-game losing streak, most of the times, it's not every time. Sometimes it's just bad luck. Most of the times, they're getting beat with consistency. They're getting beat with in the same or similar ways or having the same issues every week, right? We need to be able to come in and exploit some of them same issues and show them, hey, you didn't fix what you thought you fixed. The problems that you had before, you still got. You can take advantage of that with somebody else. All right. Seattle stinks at running the ball. We are not the best in defense at it, of defending the run, but Seattle can't come in here and get in shape running the ball. That can't happen this week. All right. Now, Seattle and Atlanta are right up there together as far as passing yards, but we run the ball better than them. You know what I'm saying? They're up there because they can't run the ball, not as a compliment to their offense. So the main thing that got to happen when they come in is they can't now come into our building against our defense and start doing something they weren't doing well all year. Right?
Couldn't have said it better
Um,
myself.
right? Another thing that got to happen too is they hurt in the secondary. I don't
Yes.
know if Tariq Woolen's gonna be playing. They got another injury to another corner, and so is his name Devon Witherspoon or Devin Witherspoon?
I think it's Devin Witherspoon.
Devin Witherspoon, playing out of position in the slot. Um, they got some injuries on their O line, so I think we got to be able to take advantage of where they are weak at. And the reason I bring up the corners is because obviously we bring a good receiving core in. We bring guy pass catchers. So they're going to want to be at their best. They are not going to be at their best. They're going to play some man coverage. They're going to play some zone. We have shown that we know how to throw against both of those. I think they give up some rushing yards too.
Yeah, for this game, I'm not particularly worried about what our offense can do. As long as we can limit turnovers, we've shown that we can win games in a multitude of ways. Kirk has shown that he can pass the ball to different receivers. We got Ray, we got Darnell Mooney, Drake. We got Kadero Hodge from time to time. We got Kyle Pitts. We got weapons. And then we got Bijan catching passes out the back as well. Like, we can move the ball around. That's not my concern. My concern is how are we going to be able to handle Geno Smith? I'm not saying that like Geno Smith is good. He's
No,
not a world
I
beater,
ain't buying
but I will
that.
say this: the Seahawks have the number one passing offense in the league right now. They can move that rock around, and they have legitimate receivers, 3 legitimate receivers. So that's going to be the main problem for me. That like going into this game, it was never the offense. I think we'll be able to score points. I think this game will be actually very similar to the Bucks game. I think the Seattle and the Bucks are very similar. They're similar teams. The Bucks have a little bit better defense. They're not as hurt as them, and their running game is a little bit better. But stylistically, I think they're about the same. So I think this is going to be a points-heavy game, and it all depends on who can win a turnover battle, who can get the most stops.
Yeah, I think we know Geno can move, but I don't think he can carry. Um,
That is exactly my point.
and that's why I'm so big on just making sure that they don't start getting off in the run game against us. Now if Geno can just be a complement to that offense, they can be dangerous. They can put up a lot of points on us. But even with a lot though, I still think about it. And what's the most points we given up? 30 to Tampa, and then the
Yeah.
next week they put up 51. And that Monday that we played Tampa, they had put up 36. I don't know. Tampa brings a decent offense. Tampa actually brings a pretty good offense, honestly. So it made sense that we got into a shootout with them. I don't want this to turn into a shootout with what the Seahawks bring in. Now, I do think of them also kind of like the Bucks with the worst defense. Really, just a little bit worse at everything, right? I look at them as a team that can't run the ball. The Bucks really can't run the ball, but the Bucks kind of sort of figuring something out. They had Rashad White out last week, so they had the backup running back in. They ran all over the Saints, but I don't know what to make of that. Not to get sidetracked, but the Saints been shaky as hell against the run this year. Also, fuck the Saints, but y'all seen what been going on with them? Boys got half their roster out right now. Rashid Shaheed got a meniscus tear, looking like he's going to miss some time. I'm like, man, that sucks it sucks for y'all, but also fuck the Saints. Not all right. So back on track. Long story short, though, Saints kind of suck at defending the run. So long story short, back on the Seahawks. Seahawks can't really run the ball. They have some injuries up front. They have, a deeper receiving core with 3 receivers. You more so think about 2 receivers with Tampa, but they did draft Jalen McMillan from the University of Washington. One of the former teammates of your boy Michael Penix Jr. Maybe Michael Penix was making him look good, and that's why he ain't playing as much. I don't know, but I think with Seattle, I think right now Seattle kind of struggling a little bit with their identity. I think Seattle's moving the ball through the air. I don't think Seattle wants to be a team that moves the ball through the air.
Oh, absolutely. They want to be a running team, and they have good running backs. They're decimated by injuries, and they haven't been able to get their running game off the ground.
All right. So what you think we actually gonna stop them this week as far as running the ball?
I gotta be honest. I can only go off what I've seen, and so far this year, our defense has relied on our secondary play and our linebacker play. And at a couple games, we had some injuries, but thankfully, Nate Landman is back. Troy Anderson is still a little bit hurt, but I'm thinking within the next couple of weeks he'll be back. So at least we got Nate though. Nate, Caden, we can make something happen. As far as our defensive line goes, we haven't been able to generate a pressure all year. So I don't think this is the game. It just magically happens. That being said, our defense keeps us in the game. Our coaches are great at making second half adjustments to limit points, albeit we may give up yards, but we're not giving up points. And that is the name of the game. That's how you win games. So if we can figure out a way to stop this run, like their running game, They're not good at it anyways, but we need to double down and make sure they cannot run the ball whatsoever and make them rely on Geno. Turn Geno into a world beater. Make him throw 30, 40 times a game. Make him beat us. Because I don't think he's the game changer. I don't think he can do it enough. And we already don't give up deep balls. We already don't give up big plays. Our defense is schemed for that. I don't think this is the week DK goes off like that. Everything's going to be underneath. It's going to be short, quick, dump plays. That's how every team has played us all year, and that's essentially how I think the game is going to go.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think we're gonna be able to keep their run game in check too. Their run game in check clearly isn't because they don't have the horses in the backfield, right? Kenneth Walker has shown he's proven in the league. Zach Charbonnet is a second round pick for them. He looked pretty good on the film that I watched of him. He went to UCLA, so I watched some of that. He was pretty good. So it's not about backfield. It's about how they are at the point of attack. They're not getting it off the ground. Also, even with us, we give up some rush yards, but one of the things I always forget to do is take stock of who's getting those rush yards. In almost every game, a good bit of those rush yards are quarterback scrambles.
Man, we cannot contain a quarterback scramble whatsoever.
We can't contain the quarterback scrambles, but my thing is though, those aren't designed runs. If Andy Dalton peels off a long run, a Baker Mayfield peel off a long run, a Justin Fields peel off a long run, or whatever, and that bumped the average up because I think we've given up 4.3. But I'm like, if you're giving up just 4 yards a carry or 3.9 yards a carry because the quarterback's, bumping up your yard per carry average, that means your run defense is a little bit better than we think it is.
I'll say this, and it's been like the annoying part of the defense for me, and I think we've discussed this. The running game has to get better on first and second down. Well, the run stopping has to get better on first and second downs because teams consistently get 3 or 4 yards a clip, and they end up in third down situations that are 3rd and 3 and less, and that's how they end up moving the ball on us. It's been the recipe all season. We got to figure that out, and I hope we can do this week. I hope we can really nail down and really lock down the Seattle running game, force Geno to throw the ball, force them into third down and long situations instead of these third and shorts, which has been very manageable all year. Even with the Panthers, that shit pissed me off. Even the Panthers getting third and shorts. But if we can find a way to get them in third and long, force Geno to throw the ball, force them to make plays, I believe our secondary can get some turnovers off of that.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm thinking about as well is I'm not sure. Have we faced a team that's as bad as running the ball as Seattle? Who's a team that is there? We can say right now, this time of year, they're bad at running the ball because, the Pittsburgh's pretty decent at running the ball. Kansas City is decent at running the ball. Tampa's actually pretty bad. So maybe Tampa's kind of mid. But and honestly, in the second half against Tampa really didn't do a good job running the ball against us. And if you take away that long run by Rashad White, their stats look even worse. So I think we'll be able to not stuff the run, but contain the run, right? Now the other thing too is Seattle's been shaky in pass protection a little bit. They didn't. I think they only sacked Geno once, if they sacked him at all. But it was like a 50% pressure rate. Okay. And so they got pressure. San Fran got pressure on Seattle like half the time that Seattle dropped back. Well,
San Fran also has Nick Bosa.
That's what I'm saying. We're not going to be bringing that. But how much of that is? And well, I'm being silly again. Here I go again. We talk about this every week. When you talk about the keys to beating the other team, you can't talk about the keys to beating them. You got to talk about the keys you got on your key ring. What key do we not have? I said, what key do we not have? What key are we never getting? We ain't getting that any week. We are not getting that. So we're not going to get into if we're going to be able to beat them with pass rush. It ain't happening. The main thing I want to know is can we at least get pressure?
Hey,
right?
pass rushing on back order, baby.
Heck, not even just can we get pressure? Can we get third on? Honestly, that's the last thing missing on this defense. I think we will be able to get a reasonable amount of pressure if the love of God, we start giving out a 50% completion percentage. I mean, 50% success on third down. Because we like 50%. We like 38 of, well, a little under 50%. We like 38 out of 79 as far as teams being successful completing third downs against us. If we just go ahead, make them third downs longer, I think maybe they might want to consider just bringing 8 in the box. I know they don't want to give up anything deep, so they have the safeties playing high or whatever, but I think it's high time we consider maybe playing with 8 in the box, at least some first downs, not every first down, just some situations. And maybe they did, the problem about watching TV is you can't see. I don't know how many times they played with a single high safety and have 8 in the box. I don't know. But I think we need to really look at making sure we keep 8 in the box and stopping the run or stopping the threat of the run on first down, and then just go playing your defense and see if you can get another stop on second down at some point, maybe, and go ahead and get them in the third and long. Because if we get third and long now, I think they can't be had. Now I'm a little concerned with DK because he's a big receiver, and we know AJ Terrell tends to have a harder time with the big receivers. But DK Metcalf hands are shaky. You know what
I
I'm
agree.
saying? Like
I agree.
I think if you can just challenge him for the ball at the point of attack, his focus gonna drop enough there. He's not gonna go big against us. Matter of fact, have we had a receiver go for 100 yards against us this year?
That's a good question. I know no one did. Actually, did George Pickens do that in week 1?
No. Justin
Okay.
Fields only had like 150 yards in the first one.
Okay. I don't think it happened in week 2 either. I think
We
it's the
only had
Eagles.
Devontae Smith. He didn't have AJ Brown in, so there's no
What about Rasheed Rice? How did he do against us?
not 100 yards.
Maybe you might be right.
All right, yeah.
Maybe
Then
Deontay Johnson had 100 though.
who?
Maybe Deontay Johnson from the.
No, he didn't have no 100.
Okay.
Yeah. So long story short, I think we can contain the offense. And I think our offense should be able to move the ball against them. Now, if Tariq Woolen plays, he does give me a little concern because he's a big, fast guy. But I think of him as like a Kyle Pitts of defense, right? With a lot of those big dudes, they still struggle with the wiggle a little bit. Now he's big and fast, so he can challenge down the field. Tariq Woolen's like 6'4", so he's like a super tall, super long corner. If he can get his hands on guys, he can be a real problem off the ball. But I think that's one of the, if he does play, that'll be one of the times we can have Drake London to shine, right? Now, Tariq Woolen's faster than Drake, but I've always said that Drake kind of has an elite get open ability as far as elite short area quickness, like in and out of his breaks. And I say it's elite not necessarily because it's the fastest I've seen, but for a 6'4" guy, he can really move in the phone booth. He can find an opening in that short space. You know what I'm saying? And his chemistry with Kirk seems to be getting a lot better. So if Tariq Woolen tries to get physical with him, I think Drake London will still be able to find some success against him and, still be able to get open. I think we can challenge them in the safeties with Kyle Pitts. So, honestly, I think that's a great segue to lead into score predictions because I'm actually feeling confident again about the Falcons. If I'm being candid, with where Seattle is right now and how Atlanta's playing right now, where momentum is, the fact that it's in Atlanta, I feel like I have to convince myself that the Seahawks are a serious threat in this. Now, I think they're more competent on offense than Carolina. And I don't mean to say that with such questioning, like, it's real close. I'm just saying that, if you take off the Bryce Young ones, honestly, Carolina hadn't been that bad on offense with Andy Dalton. They got like 2 30-point games. They lost the other one because they gave up 40 against the Bengals, but they have like 2 30-point games, and they scored 22 against us, and they drove a couple times when we took the ball away. But And the difference too that I didn't bring up now, we're even on turnover differential. Seattle is -6 on turnover differential. They've only taken the ball away 4 times this year. I don't think uh we really got much to worry about in that regard. You know what I'm saying? What we got Kirk Cousins got 5 picks, and I know he got a fumble. And Raymond McLeod had a fumble. But we take the ball away 7 times, so we even Stephen. But taking the ball away 7 times in 6 games, not half bad. But they've turned the ball. They've only taken the ball away 4 times. Uh, Geno Smith, despite leading the league in passing yards, he only got 6 touchdowns, and then he got 6 picks, and they got 4 fumbles. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, that's game by game. But I think as long as we just make sure we don't turn the ball over, Kirk's getting better as far as not turning the ball over. Because even with the Tampa game, the pick he threw was more of a situational pick. It's 4th and 15. You gotta throw the ball. They played zone. We ran all our routes to the sticks. He really wasn't given a good chance of success, if you ask me. Um, so I'm thinking we're not going to really see any turnovers by the Falcons. I think we will at least get one off of Seahawks. I think we win turnover battle. I think we're going to be able to run the ball against them, and I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against us. I'd expect Seattle to be competent. I expect them to score at least 20 in this game. Uh, I don't necessarily expect us to do what we did the last couple weeks. So I do think it'll be tighter. But I don't think that it will be an uncomfortable victory. I don't think we're gonna see the shenanigans. That's what I'm calling them for now. I don't think we're gonna see the shenanigans we saw the first 5 weeks of the season. I think the Falcons for a comfortable victory. I think the Falcons win like 30-21.
Okay, so we got a similar score prediction. I think it's gonna be similar as well. I have us winning like 34-24, like a 10
Okay.
point game. I think we can do enough to score over 30 points. The offense has shown me enough. It all depends on what we get from a defense. And I'm not to say I'm shitting on the defense because especially with the adjustments they've been making, they've really turned it on in the second half, and they've done that every game so far this year.
Pretty
So I
much.
think so I think they'll do it again. Now it's a trend. So I know going into this game, even if it's close after the first half, I think we can pull away from Seattle. So first half, I think it'd be like 17-17 maybe. And then the second half we pull away.
I ain't gonna lie. I almost sounded bewildered that you thought they was gonna score 17 in the first half, and then I was like, wait a minute, we done gave up like at least 14 in the first half, 3 games in a row.
Exactly. Our defense takes a little time to get kicking. I
Yeah,
I've noticed it. I can't lie on these dudes. Like it is what it is. They make great second half adjustments. They play fantastic in the second half, but first half, we're gonna give up some points.
hey,
Like I
you know
was
what? You're right. Yeah, I think I lost myself for a minute. I think I've been getting drunk off all this positivity. You
oh
know what I'm
yeah, I've been saying
saying?
don't get me wrong, I love it. Kirk has piped the city up. Everybody's in the mood. Like this is good for Atlanta, and I love it. But I'm not just drinking the Kool-Aid just yet. You gotta be a little realistic.
I think if we could punch them in the mouth, though, we might see more success rushing the passer than we expect. Just
No, I
because
agree.
they'll have to start abandoning their already destitute run game. Um, but that's not gonna happen. Let's be real. The team showed us who they are. They're gonna be quite vulnerable in the first half. Um, and then maybe they'll put it together in the second half. But the biggest thing too for us that I've noticed is our offensive production doesn't really fall off in the second half.
It doesn't.
It seemed like we had it right on off. Like, maybe we'll score a few less points, but it'll be like situational, you know what I'm saying?
And our ability to score points have changed. Like sometimes it'll be Kirk just dialing it in, just slinging it. And other times we can really lean on our run game and let it carry us. I like how we're multi-dimensional on offense.
Yeah,
We're not
I'm with you.
relying on just one person. We can spread the ball around. We have a bunch of weapons, and they all kind of complement Kirk. I'm loving how this offense, how Kirk and Zach are slowly starting to figure things out. It feels good.
All right, awesome, man. Well, look, we can go ahead and wrap it up. We're gonna give you a tight 40. You know what I'm saying? I just got off work. Cam just got off work. I'm tired. I'm sorry if I sound like it. But go ahead, please like, subscribe, comment if you enjoy the content. Let us know something. You know what I'm saying? We definitely looking forward to hearing what anybody got to say about this game and about the Falcons going forward. We're gonna start discussing more sports adjacent stuff. But we'll get into that when we get into it. You guys have a good one. Peace.